Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News, and I'm here today with Jackson Hemauer, who's a recruit that has caught the eyes of a lot of people, not only in the Central Valley, but also all over California, even over in Wisconsin. How are you doing today, Jackson?
Good, brother. Good. Glad to be here having a conversation.
I got to first meet you over at the 559 fights. You had a weigh in and you were looking to compete in your first ever fight, but sadly, some things fell through and you weren't able to get that matchup booked in. Has it been a big challenge for you to find a competitor that's been wanting to step in the cage with you, especially in the amateur circuit where so many guys are kind of just like so fringe on taking matchups?
For sure, it's been difficult to kind of manage through coming from an entire wrestling career where we're competing so many times throughout the year, having to adjust to just kind of getting your hopes up and maybe it goes through and going through like that push and pull a little bit definitely has been a little frustrating, but I've definitely kind of just taken a step back in this second half of this. This has been my first year fully out of college. And I hadn't had pretty much any prior training in any other art, in a MMA besides outside of wrestling. So it was a pretty good year to still get, just caught up to speed and figure out kind of like what style I want to have and all those little kinks. So, if anything, it's given me the time to, hone in on my style and how I want to kind of approach my career and such. So
Having that little bit of a breather, I can definitely see for a fighter like you that you graduated college, you were just in some dorm room probably a couple of years ago, and obviously you were training really hard. You were with the Fresno State wrestling team. At the end of the day, a college lifestyle and then going straight to that MMA career, that can definitely be a little bit of a change mindset wise, and I'm glad you were able to kind of walk us through that, because a lot of people don't even think you have to go pick up another martial art. There's so many guys like Ben Askren or other guys that have been successful just using wrestling that often it's forgetting that yeah, there's other ones out there. You gotta
yeah.
be nice on the striking, be nice on the feet as well. But I see your shirt there. You're representing a little bit of your team. Represent LTD. Let us know how you got in contact with them and how exactly you got hooked up with them, because I find that pretty interesting. A guy on the amateur scene, a guy that's, obviously you have that background wrestling at Fresno State, number one prospect back in Wisconsin in your high school
Yeah.
days, but how is it to be represented by a brand that's being repped by the biggest, some of the biggest stars? Nate Diaz, obviously, the Diaz brothers were, that's all of them. But Alexa
Yeah.
Grasso now, Diego Lopez, guys that are in the UFC that are on that top level. Is it inspiring for a guy like you that hasn't even, had a step in an amateur cage yet to be repped by these brands and being talked to by a lot of these high up people in the MMA world?
I got into contact with David at Represent through my old college coach, Israel Silva. I'm signed under Iridium Sports Agency, and he has gotten into a deeper role with the agency and starting a whole wrestling branch. And basically, when the NIL started, bill got passed, and we were able to get representation. Iridium took the initiative to go seek out a lot of the best wrestlers on the Division I scene, which they have now branched to signing David Taylor, athletes like Yanni Diakomahalis, four-time national champion, David Taylor, obviously Olympic champion. And then they have 10 athletes that are currently wrestled in the last season or still have eligibility that are all Americans and very high prestigious Division I athletes. That was my initial into Iridium. And then through Coach Izzy, he is now coaching Brandon Moreno in his camp. So through his connections, he's allowed me some really, really cool opportunities to be able to work with. Went out to the UFC PI for a weekend and got to get some super high level training, trained with Brandon and his team. And then, and then kind of like the little cherry on top, got to get involved with Represent. I'm living local, so I had a good connection through Izzy, and I'm starting my career. And they kind of liked what I had to bring to the table. So I start racking in some fights and some exciting news, So I'm excited where I'm at and who I got involved with and who I have, leading the way for me for sure.
Getting that's huge, that wrestling, because a lot of these athletes, I mean, Bo Nickel is one of the prime examples of somebody that goes to the very top of the wrestling game. I mean, he was huge. People that never even followed wrestling at all in college were knowing who Bo Nickel is, and then being able to see his transition to the UFC. So athletes like that, it definitely does mean a whole lot when they got in sports agency like Iridium behind them and helping them guide the way, because they have helped champions with obviously Brandon Moreno now, but you got Benson Henderson, you got plenty of guys that in the past have gone through Iridium Sports Agency and have done pretty well for themselves. So that's definitely a very good team to be paired with, and pretty awesome that you got to train with Brandon Moreno. How was it getting to train with the Assassin Baby, man?
Definitely someone, that's, someone to look up to and try and emulate. He really is a good example of living that championship lifestyle. And, he was super appreciative of the wrestling tips I had for him. It was pretty surreal moment being able to help him out with his wrestling. That's ultimately what it's all about. That's a big thing that I've, gotten the experience out here is getting, put with a wrestling pedigree, a high level wrestling pedigree is very valuable to a lot of people, and they're willing to, have a trade off of talents. And I think that's always something that I really love about this game, that everyone's just kind of, vibing off each other and, helping each other succeed in areas that they're not, as good. And being able to do that with the champ was like, super humbling and super like, super motivating to, keep that same energy throughout my whole career.
No, that could definitely be one of those moments you look at years from now. You're having an interview and you're like, yeah, I remember training with Brandon Moreno at UFCPI, and that's when I knew I was that's definitely one of those very key moments. So obviously kudos to you for getting that represent deal and being able to partner with them, but also awesome for you to be able to get on the mats with Brandon Moreno. Not only that, but get to kind of, how you said, trade off, because that is a very valuable asset that I feel a lot of MMA fighters coming up on the scene need to utilize more. The scene of like, okay, cool, I got good Muay Thai. Let me learn my other skills. So that's very awesome that you're trying to pick up on these striking tips, picking up, being a sponge to all the knowledge that you can be, man. You were the number one recruit coming out of Wisconsin, and then decided to go over to Fresno State and wrestle there. And you wrestled out there until, obviously, sadly, the wrestling program was discontinued. That was disheartening for a lot of us over here in the Central Valley. Obviously, me being from Dinuba, seeing that wrestling program, seeing one of my former alumni at Dinuba High School, Jacob Wright, he got to go over there and he got to do his thing. So Fresno State wrestling always has a special spot in my heart, man. But getting to see you and you being draping the red, white, and blue for them, how was it over there in Fresno for you, man? And how did you make that decision to even end up over there in the Central Valley?
My high school career was pretty successful. I had a really positive upbringing. My dad was my coach pretty much throughout my senior year of high school. The head coach, Fresno State, Troy Steiner, is very good family friends with my dad. He lived in Wisconsin at a time and coached at the University of Wisconsin. So him and my dad were good buds. And I actually was at the University of Wisconsin my first semester. Decided to leave after a semester. Didn't really consider any other schools besides Fresno State. I wanted to wrestle for Steiner. I had a ton of history and confidence with him. The biggest thing is having a leader that you truly believe in, and that truly you believe was going to take you to the next level. And I had that in them. And then the next thing's, a supportive community. And that was something I had never experienced before when I moved to Fresno, was the love and the culture behind wrestling in the Central Valley. It was something I hadn't experienced before, and it was beyond motivating. I wasn't even from there. I was actually the first out of state kid on the team.
Wow, that's an accomplishment in itself, man.
And so that was its own deal in itself. It was first I had visited California as a kid, but first time living out there. So, yeah, getting used to a new culture, and I gotta, thank all the families and my teammates that took me in. It was a super welcoming experience right from the get. And like I said, it just made you so much more motivated to go in for people that really cared about how that program was doing. Really thankful for my time there. I was a 2-time national qualifier. Qualified my freshman year at 184 pounds. And then sophomore year, I kind of battled through some injuries. At the following that year is when COVID hit, right? And so COVID hits, our sport was selected as one to get dropped in this kind of hectic crisis moment. And I ended up joining Northern Colorado's team in Greeley, Colorado. And that first season, I made the Big 12 finals, qualified for nationals, and didn't ever really have my turnout I wanted at the national tournament. Again, I had a lot of knee injuries I battled throughout my career, and it was a tough thing to stay healthy at the end of the year. It's pretty much everyone's claim, but everyone's in their hurt, and so it's I wish I would have. Sometimes I wish I would have stuck it out one more year for that COVID year just to give it that crack again. But I know how gnarly it was on my body, and I have more stuff to accomplish and work for, and bigger goals. So that was it with wrestling, and now here I am back out in California. So
Yeah, and now you're staying over in the Orange County area, right? You're training over with the Orange County team. Did you want to name them and give all the teams that you train with? Because I know you
for
train
sure,
primarily with one team, but you also kind of make your rounds and will occasionally dibble and dabble in other
yeah.
places.
My coach Israel Silva got me connected with people down here. The main source of contact was through Tim McDonald. They were looking to start they had a wrestling club, and were kind of going through a rebuilding phase, and wanted me out to run high school practices, and be involved with the kids wrestling club, which is something that it's been part of my life, my entire life. Wrestling has, and I've always at every single phase been giving back and coaching the younger generations, and it's something that I think is super important to one, drop your ego a little bit and see, have a little bit of a, helping others just naturally feels good. And, two, it keeps you loving the sport. You remember kind of the young self you were, and how influential the sport was to you, and just the structure of wrestling in general is, I think, just so important. And so I knew I wanted to get back involved coaching. Our head coach is Jesse Doyle, and he was Orange County Division I wrestler. We were also planning on been out here in MMA program. Orange County area. So I was like, okay, 7-8 years for now. Sure, all in.
Wow. Yeah.
Super big name in the area in terms of grappling. He's got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Really is a black belt. And again, with Division I wrestling experience and a crazy knack for teaching. He's our rock, our heart and soul, no doubt. He does my jiu-jitsu. I've been doing all my jiu-jitsu with him.
I know your team's got to be looking for some fights in the area. I know they got Sparslar, they got Up Next, but I know you wanted to fight at that 559 fights card. Obviously, having that connection to Jeremy Lachow with the Iridium Sports Agency, is that still kind of the hope? Are you still hoping to hop on one of these 559 fights cards in the coming future, or has it been just, hey, if I'm able to get a 170 fight, I'm able to get a 170 fight? Because I know you've been itching to get in the cage, man.
I was full intentions of just trying to get fights through 559 initially. I've Jeremy's my main guy that does my contracts and looks over my what I'm doing. So fighting through his promotion up there in Fresno, and again, back in front of the Fresno crowd would have been super sick. Having wrestled up there, but as of probably 4 or 5 months ago, we've been throwing our names out like crazy. My teammate Jake Woodley, he wrestled at Oklahoma, was an All-American for the University of Oklahoma. we're in the exact same. We've been going through the same process. We same age. Been out here for a year now. Just getting our skills right. And 6 months ago, we really started pressing, looking for fights anywhere. Spar Star, some other local ones down San Diego area, and we just haven't gotten much back. We're going to continue to look, but if we're not able to get in there within the next, 2-3 months, we'll probably start looking just to skip right to the pro scene and hopefully get some smoker fights or possibly some amateur boxing. My coach at the RTC here in Huntington, Jesse Doyle, he's got a good connection with Joe Daddy, and he is coaching, putting together the team for the Pan Am Championships for amateur MMA. And it looks pretty good that I can get on that team. So that would be our second week of August, I believe.
Okay.
So I'm still, it's not official. I'm still kind of ironing out the details with my coach Jesse and Joe. But that's my biggest plan
flame
that's
at the
coming
moment.
to, yeah. Hopefully it goes through because, representing USA, on any stage would be super sick.
Yeah.
We'd get three fights in a weekend. So, it'd be sick. Yeah.
I'm very excited for your journey, Jackson. I know that you're definitely going to be looking to do some pretty big things in the coming future. But just to round out this interview here, I really appreciate your time today, brother. I know you've been a busy man. You just flew to Wisconsin not too long ago. You just got back. But was there anybody you wanted to thank out there? I know you got obviously tons of people that support you. You got your management team, you got Iridium, but is there anybody in particular that's really been helping you? I mean, maybe over there in the Los Angeles area, been helping you out with the place to live, and anybody that you really wanted to give a kind of major shout out to today?
Really, really thankful for my people at the Orange County RTC. We got a really cool family environment where we all look out after each other. It's been a super welcoming experience from the beginning. Training alongside my coworkers, Jesse Doyle and Jake Woodley. They've been rocks for me in terms of training partners. It's been tough to find big bodies. And me and Jake being both big guys. He wrestled at 197. We've, just kind of been flying around as each other's training partners, and it's been an absolute blast, learning alongside someone like him. He's a super good guy. Going to have an incredible career as well. And outside of that, yeah, it's my management, Jeremy Luchow and Jason House and Jacob Parga, as well as Israel Silva. That's really my team that I got all the faith in the world in them, and they've been, super, super supportive and awesome at just putting me in front of really, really cool people and really good opportunities. And, I believe in their system. So that's super, super important for me and something that I'm excited to keep growing my relationship with all of them throughout this journey. And then my family, just holding it down, always believing in me, getting me to the position I am today. My dad, my best wrestling coach I've ever had, tied my shoes for the first time. So, really, this MMA world is for sure a big, big pool, a big, big pool with a lot of fishies, swimming around trying to be the big dog. And so it's important to have those people that 100% are in your corner, so that's my crew. And yeah, we're gonna run all the way up to the top. Can't forget my girlfriend Emelina. She's gonna get upset if I don't shout her out.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time today, Jackson. I know that you're going to be destined for some great things, man, and I cannot wait until you get to hop in the cage. If it's for Pan Am, if it's for 559 fights, if it's for a promotion out over in the Los Angeles area, or hell, even if you just make the jump straight to pro, man, I'm going to be over there at that matchup, and I definitely can't wait to see the results, my guy. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News, and we are going to be signing out with Jackson Hemauer.